Walters is a great place to watch the NBA Finals with friends. It's open late and located right across the street from Nationals Park.
From lashes for days with the viral Liquid Lash Extensions mascara to lift and color from their brilliant eye brightener, Thrive Causemetics is the go-to for amplifying everyday looks. Plus, every product is 100% vegan, cruelty-free, and made with clean, skin-loving ingredients that work with your skin. Amplify your everyday. Go to thrivecosmetics.com/shine26 for an exclusive offer of 20% off your first order. That's Thrive Cosmetics, CAUSEMETICS.com/shine26.
Next offering swung on and hit in the air, deep right field. Carroll on the run to the warning track, way back into the corner, and it is gone. Goodbye. A 2-run home run for Luis Garcia Jr. Bang, zoom goes Garcia.
Bases loaded. The set and the 1-2. Swing a high drive, right center field deep. Barossa going back to the warning track, looking up, and it is gone. It's a grand slam into the basket in right center field. Nationals lead at 11-1 as Garcia brings them all in with a grand slam, his second homer of the night. He's driven in 6 runs. What a night for Luis Garcia Jr. 2-run homer in the first, a towering grand slam to right center here in the 6th. And the Nationals have a double-digit lead. It's 11-1. The pitch. Swing a long drive right field. Carroll going back, this one over his head and over the wall. Another home run for the Nationals. A line drive smash for Abrams to straightaway right field. The Nationals have a dozen on the board. It's 12-1. The Nationals have 5 home runs in the first 6 innings of this ball game.
And welcome to Nats Chat. I'm Al Galdi, host of the Al Galdi podcast. I'm joined by Washington Nationals insider Mark Zuckerman of NatsJournal.com. He is at Chase Field in Phoenix, Arizona. Chase Field, per Baseball Savant, is number 2 in MLB in highest park factor over the last 3 regular seasons, 2024 through 2026. Number 1, of course, is the Colorado Rockies Coors Field. It's number 1 by a mile. Nationals Park, believe it or not, is tied for number 6, but Chase Field is number 2. Chase Field is a big-time hitter's park, and the Nats late night on Friday night hit big time. A 14-1 win at the Arizona Diamondbacks late night on Friday night in Game 1 of a 3-game series and Game 1 of a 6-game trip out west. The Nats are back at 500 in this regular season, 32-32, and are back to having a positive run differential, +3. But the 32-32 is made up of 20-12 on the road versus 12-20 at home. The Diamondbacks now are 33-30, including 20-13 at home. This series is a battle of a team in the Nats that has been great on the road versus a team in the Diamondbacks that has been great at home. And the Nats late night on Friday night routed the Diamondbacks at Chase Field. Coming up later in the show, an update on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Whetzel. The Red Wings just had an excellent May, thanks in large part to 2 key prospects for the Nats, third baseman/first baseman Yohandy Morales and first baseman Abimelec Ortiz. So the Nats, in getting swept by the Miami Marlins in 3 games at Nationals Park over this past Monday through Wednesday, totaled a mere 7 runs, but the Nats late night on Friday night, 14 runs. Mark, quite the response from the Nats to getting swept by the Marlins.
And there's no better place to do that. How then Chase Field, as you just described? And specifically for the Nationals, this has been a great place to hit. Remember last year when they scored 10 runs in the first inning, a record-setting performance? Well, you can go even further back than that. It's now 6 of their last 9 games they've played here. This is over the course of now 3 seasons. They've scored at least 7 runs in 6 of those 9 games. They have always hit well here. And certainly this lineup in this ballpark felt like a good opportunity for them to get back on track. And boy, right from the jump, they looked like the best offense in baseball once again. And so I think that was important psychologically to get over that hurdle of what happened in the last series against the Marlins and remind everybody that, oh yes, this team does score a lot of runs, and this was a great place to do it.
And the offense was spread out over the course of this game. 2 runs top of the first, 4 runs top of the third, run top of the 5th, 5 runs top of the 6th, a run in the top of the 8th, and a run in the top of the 9th. The Nats for the game, 14 runs, 16 hits, which were 5 home runs, a double, and 10 singles, 7 walks, 6 for 14 with runners in scoring position. We've talked about the Nats doing well against good pitching. So the Diamondback starting pitcher was Merrill Kelly. He overall is not having a very good season, but he had been pitching well lately, and ERA at 2.36 over his last 5 games, all starts coming into this game. But the Nats in this game against Kelly had him allowing 7 runs in 5 innings, and so many Nats did so well in this game. But leading the way was Luis Garcia Jr., who as the Nats starting first baseman and number 2 batter, hit 2 home runs and had 6 RBI. He went 2 for 6 with a grand slam and a 2-run homer. Garcia in the Nats 2-run first, a 2-run homer to right field for a 2-0 Nats lead. Garcia in the Nats 5-run sixth, a grand slam to right center field on a 1-2 pitch for an 11-1 Nats lead. The homer going a projected 427 feet per StatCast. Luis Garcia Jr. does just enough to keep you interested and just enough to make you think that this guy very much can be a piece. And, he's up and down for sure, but you look at his overall body of work now. His OPS is at 745. That's made up of a 454 slugging percentage, just a 291 on base. I mean, he's not drawing walks. He's not really getting on base at a high rate at all, but he is hitting. And boy, did he hit in this game. We have seen him hit for power before, and the power was on full display late night on Friday night.
It was, and that first homer really set the tone. They're already up 2-0, 2 batters in, and had Merrill Kelly on his heels. But I want to talk about the grand slam because that one came off a left-hander and came off a breaking ball from a left-hander. That's not a scenario we're used to seeing from Luis Garcia. It's only his 6th career home run off a lefty. I think it's 59 that he's hit against righties. We know that Blake Butera plays the matchups a lot. If there's a lefty starter in the game, it's going to be Andres Chaparro or sometimes Curtis Mead at first base. And often, as we saw in this game, if it's a close, tight game, he's got Garcia in there to start against the righty Kelly, but very often he would pinch hit for him halfway through this game if the Diamondbacks bring in a lefty. Because they had a little bit of a lead, a nice little cushion there, he left him in, let him face the left-hander reliever Abner, and he got a breaking ball, as you just described it, just a no doubt for his first career grand slam and a career-high 6 RBI. I think that was important psychologically for Garcia to see that he could do that to a lefty. And maybe that helps encourage Blake Butera to say, okay, maybe this doesn't have to be a full-on platoon where he never is going to face the lefty. Yes, a close game, late in it, lefty reliever on the mound, you're going to probably want to bring Chaparro or somebody off the bench to face him. But you now have this in the back of your mind that if it's a little more lopsided, or if you might think maybe there's a lefty in the middle of the game, but they might come back to a righty later on, you can feel a little more confident letting Luis Garcia face that lefty, seeing what he did in this at-bat. That, to me, was a really important sign for him.
Well, his OPS for this regular season is higher against lefties than against righties, which I'm guessing surprises people. But 869 against lefties, 728 against righties. He's slugging 565 against lefties. So we're seeing him make improvement in that department. And, we've talked about how, okay, Garcia, does he have the bat to be an everyday first baseman? Well, in this game, he sure did. 2 home runs and 6 RBI. Where do you think this team is at with Garcia overall? Like, do you think the team views him as a piece? Do you think it's more he's just sort of a stopgap measure, but long-term, he's not really the guy they're looking to have as an everyday guy at first base?
I think they probably feel like 2-3 years down the road, they have a better option there. But I will say this, and I felt this way really from the moment that Paul Taboni and Blake Butera were hired, and just listening to the way they talked about things. I don't think they necessarily view first base as a position where you have to have a big 40-homer guy who plays every day. I think they're very comfortable with the idea of running a platoon at that position and going lefty-righty matchups. It's the way Tampa Bay has done it for a long time. The big lefty slugger at first base is a little bit of a thing of the past. There aren't that many of them anymore around baseball. And I mean, Lord knows they've been looking for one here for a while and made a few overtures to some big names or gave some guys on the back ends of their careers very minimal one-year deals. And it usually hasn't worked out. I think there's a case being made for going with that lefty-righty combo and not just game to game, but within a game, subbing a guy out when you get to their bullpen. I think they're okay with that. But in Garcia's case, for him to really stick long term, I think they would need to see better plate discipline from him. That on-base percentage has got to at least start with a 3, not a 2. And they want to see defensive improvement. And it's been all right at times, but let's be clear, he's not a defensively gifted first baseman. So I think in their perfect world, a few years down the road, they have somebody that's better than him, but they're okay with what he is right now, especially as part of a platoon. And even in the long run, I don't know that they necessarily think to themselves, boy, we need to go find our long-term, everyday first baseman who's going to hit a ton of home runs and be a huge part of the offense.
And later in the show, we'll be hearing about 2 first base prospects for the Nats, as mentioned, from Josh Whetzel, as we hear about Yohandy Morales and Abimelec Ortiz.
Here's the 1-2. Swing a long drive, left center field. Way back goes the center fielder Barossa to the wall. He leaps. He can't get it. It is gone. Right to the left of the 413 mark. A tape measure home run for James Wood to the opposite field. Nationals 3, Diamondbacks nothing. Number 17 for Wood. He took a fastball up and out of the zone and crushed it to left center field. What a blast by James Wood.
James Wood homered. He was the Nats starting right fielder and number 1 batter, 2 for 4, solo homer, single, and a walk. Wood in the Nats 4-run third, leadoff opposite field home run to left center on a 1-2 pitch for a 3-0 Nats lead. That homer went a projected 419 feet per Statcast. C.J. Abrams homered. In fact, Abrams got on base 4 times. He was the Nats starting shortstop and cleanup batter, 2 for 4, solo homer, single, 2 walks. Did commit a fielding error, but Abrams in the Nats 5-run 6, a 1-out solo homer to right field to put the Nats up 12-1. Dalen Lyle, that's not someone we've talked about much lately. He's kind of cooled off, but Lyle in this game as the Nats starting left fielder and number 5 batter, 3 for 4, solo homer, RBI single, another single, also had a stolen base. He in the Nats 4-run third, 1-out RBI single to right center for a 4-0 Nats lead, also had to steal a second base. Lyle in the Nats 1-run fifth, a 1-out solo homer to right field for a 7-1 Nats lead. But maybe the biggest sign of all that this was a great offensive night for the Nats. Jorbit Vivas, who came into the game 0 for 26 with runners in scoring position, went 2 for 2 with runners in scoring position. He is the Nats starting third baseman and number 6 batter, 2 for 5 with a 2-run double, an RBI single, and a walk. Vivas in the Nats 4-run third, a 1-out, 2-run double to right field for a 6-0 Nats lead. When Vivas is going 2 for 2 with runners in scoring position, you know that your team is having a good offensive night.
Yeah, if it wasn't going to happen in this game, it was never going to happen, right? For him, look, that was a big moment for him. Sigh of relief, of course, to finally come through. And it wasn't, just some meaningless hit. That was a 2-run double when the game was still close early on. That's a big spot for him. Now, the second one came late in the blowout and off a position player. So I don't know how much that one really counts. But at this point, Jorbit Vivas will take whatever he can get. He also made a really nice play in the field at third base. So I know, as often happens, when the lineups come out and people see, why isn't Curtis Mead at third base? What is Jorbit Vivas doing there? Well, Blake Butera really wanted as many lefties as possible in his lineup against Merrill Kelly. Made sense, and it worked out. And in Vivas's case, he really did deliver for them in a way that we have not seen from him that much, both at the plate and in the field. So a really good, feel-good night for a guy who needed one.
Absolutely. What about Lyle? What have you seen from him lately? Like I said, he has cooled off a bit. His OPS now is at 725. Really good game in this game, but not a name that has come up much on recent installments of this podcast.
He's just been really streaky, I think. Remember the series in Cincinnati when he just went off in front of all his friends and family who were there from Louisville. And since then, he has cooled off pretty dramatically. So it was nice to see him kind of get back on track in this one and hitting the ball hard, as we know he can do, and being a big part of it. I mean, he's batting in prominent spots in the lineup still, hitting behind C.J. Abrams, who, as we know, is on base a ton. So there have been no shortage of opportunities for Dalen Lyle. I think he kind of needed one of these. He's been fine this year, but this has not been anything close to what we saw from him in the second half of last season. And that's not to say he's not still going to be a really good and really important player for them in the long run. But I think we do have to pump the brakes a little bit and say that what we saw for 3 months last year might be a bit beyond what can reasonably be expected from him. But let's see. It's up to him now to show if he can rediscover that form and be the impact player that he was when he was up here last year as a rookie.
Yeah, I mean, if he can be a guy with an OPS in the mid 700s, that's pretty good. And like I said, it's now at 725. Woods' OPS is at 944. Abrams is at 922. And, the Nats off looking feeble offensively against Miami, just looking so good offensively in this game. And, here we are. The Nats through 64 games, number one in MLB in runs at 345. The Nats ranked tied for number 5 in MLB in home runs at 83. And the Nats rank number 4 in MLB in team OPS at 743. So, I think everyone wonders if a market correction is coming. Everyone wonders if a regression is coming. You see what happened against the Marlins and you say, all right, well, maybe is this the start of the, carriage turning back into a pumpkin? And then bam, the Nats bust out on Friday night with a reminder of just how good this offense has been.
And I think that's why this was an important one. Even if they had won the game, but, it was a low-scoring game, you might have some of those doubts creeping in a little bit. For them to come right out from the first inning on and have that kind of big night offensively, I think that completely erases what happened in Miami. Now, obviously, you want to keep this thing going, but I do think it was important for them to just reestablish that here in the opener of this series and say that the anomaly isn't the fact that they lead the majors in runs scored for the season. The anomaly is that they only scored 7 runs against Miami the last 3 games.
And the home run was back in full effect. That's the key to this offense, man. The home runs are up by so much. If the Nats continue to hit homers, the offense is going to continue to be just fine. And 5 home runs, quite nice in this win at Arizona late night on Friday night.
Griffin delivers, swinging a line drive. Oh, a diving catch by Nasim Nunez to his right. What a play by Nunez. And a second base umpire, Manny Gonzalez, looking at Nunez, who ended up in a seated position with his back to home plate. I don't know if he's waiting to see if he held the ball in his glove, but he did. Another highlight reel play and a diving backhanded catch by Nasim Nunez.
I mean, we're the first inning Nats, right? I feel like a lot of these outings I've taken the field, especially on the road, have been with already a 2-3 plus run cushion, right? So that's just super relaxing for me and then allows me to go out there and attack the zone even more.
The Nats starting pitcher in this 14-1 win at the Diamondbacks late night on Friday night was Foster Griffin. He pitched really well, but got pulled from the game due to what Nats manager Blake Butera during his postgame session with reporters early Saturday morning called back tightness.
Yeah, a little bit of both. Blowout game. He had a little bit of back tightness, just kind of sitting around long inning there. He wanted to go back and pitch again, but I was just like, look, with the score the way it is, the job he's already done, just felt like that was the right time to get him out.
Griffin allowed 1 run in 5 innings, 4 strikeouts, no walks, gave up just 2 hits, which were a home run and a single. He was supremely pitch efficient. He threw a lot of strikes, 62 pitches. That was it over 5 innings. 43 strikes, just 19 balls. The run he gave up came in the bottom of the 3rd, gave up a 1-out solo homer by Luis Garcia to left center to cut the Nats lead to 6-1. If ever there was an outing by a Nats starting pitcher this season set up for the starter to go deep, it was this game. Nats up big, Griffin being pitch efficient. He gets pulled after 5 innings. I think we all were wondering, was something wrong with him physically? And Butera, the way he described the back tightness to you guys, I mean, it doesn't sound like a big deal, but that did sound like the reason for Griffin being pulled after just the 5 innings.
Yeah, I think it's a combination of, he said on the flight, long flight from the East Coast after the game the other day, back was a little bit stiff. And then, believe it or not, he said being in the dugout while the team was hitting, they're very long half innings, it just started to tighten up on him again. And it sounds to me like if this is a closer game, he goes back out there and he keeps pitching and seeing how he does. The fact that they were up by double digits at that point, it was kind of like, hey, there's no reason to push this at all. Let's just call it a night. Great job. And make sure you're good to go next time out. Now, it'll be something to keep an eye on over the next 5 days. But I think this was kind of the ultimate in precautionary move. Yes, it would have been really nice in the first game of a road trip to not have to use up a couple of relievers like that and get length from your starter. But let's be honest, in the long run, what was more important, saving a couple of bullpen arms or making sure that Foster Griffin, one of your most important starting pitchers, doesn't do anything that could actually sideline him for any length of time? I think it was the smart move under the circumstances that they were in this game.
Absolutely. It's just a shame from a standpoint of if we are going to see a complete game from a Nats pitcher this season, this really was it, with the Nats up big and Griffin having thrown so few pitches over 5 innings. But the CG for FG was not to be. But let's also highlight this. So Griffin had those back-to-back games in which he gave up a bunch of runs. That 15-1 loss at the Cincinnati Reds on May 14th, 9 runs in 4 1/3 innings. The 9-6 win over the New York Mets at Nationals Park on May 19th, 5 runs in 5 innings. So he since then has been good in 2 of 3 outings. He did what he did in the 2-1 win at the Atlanta Braves on May 24th, 6 shutout innings, 6 strikeouts, 1 walk. We did have what he did in the 9-4 win over the San Diego Padres at Nationals Park last Saturday, May 30th. He in that game allowed 3 runs in 5 innings, although he wasn't all bad in that game. He recorded 5 strikeouts, threw a good number of strikes as well, and he scattered 3 solo homers. So that was kind of a mixed outing, but he was really good in this game. So it does seem like the hiccup that he had, especially in that outing at the Reds, was just a hiccup and not the start of like an unraveling from Foster Griffin.
Yeah, another important sign in the bigger picture, and we keep talking about this, when teams start to figure him out, can he make some adjustments and come back and show that was the anomaly, the bad start, not that the great opening month or 2 of the season for him was the anomaly. And what he said he did here coming into this one, 2 things. Number one, it was really emphasized, not just to him, but the whole pitching staff, of the importance of throwing strike 1. They've seen the numbers. They know the difference between getting ahead in the count 0-1 versus being behind the count 1-0. That Marlins series, remember when they threw 200 plus pitches in these games, they were behind in the count constantly. Not that they don't know the importance of it, but sometimes you just need a little bit of a refresher and a little bit of a prodding from the coaching staff to say, hey, go out there, throw strike 1. You're going to find you have a lot more success. Yes, every once in a while, you might get ambushed by somebody on the first pitch. But for the most part, you're going to be better off. So he really attacked them and threw first pitch strikes in this one. And the other thing he did is he said he went back to some video from his Japan days to look at his splitter, the pitch that he picked up there. That is one of his, 7-pitch arsenal, and found some changes to make with that, with adjustment to the grip and some other things. And he started feeling a lot more confident about that in this start. I know he had at least one of his strikeouts came on the splitter. As we know, he is somebody who needs to have confidence in everything that he throws to be successful and to not become too predictable. I think the trouble he's run into is when he believes that other teams are starting to figure out what he might throw in certain situations. So to all of a sudden have a little more confidence in one of those pitches that maybe he wasn't feeling as good about, and to go back to what he had done several years ago in Japan, another sign of just how smart this guy is and just how hard he works between starts to make sure that he's constantly adjusting and staying on top of things. I think you saw that in this outing.
He is a thinking man's pitcher, to be sure. And you look at his numbers now, 13 games, all starts, ERA 3.63, whip 1.10, and he has 69 strikeouts in 72 innings, the strikeouts per 9 innings of 8.63. His stuff is not lethal, as we have discussed, but he does generate strikeouts. I give him a lot of credit for that. It's not just, a bunch of outs based on the variance of the batted ball. Like, he's got stuff that can result in swings and misses, and we're seeing that here on a pretty consistent basis. The Nats relief pitching in this 14-1 win at the Diamondbacks late night on Friday night. Very good. 2 Nats relievers combined for 4 scoreless innings. Paxton Schultz, 2 scoreless innings with 2 swinging strikeouts. He gave up 2 singles. Cole Henry, 2 scoreless innings despite giving up 2 singles, despite issuing a hit by pitch, and despite that fielding error by C.J. Abrams. I guess this is kind of where we are with Cole Henry, right? Mop-up duty, but good to see him throw 2 shutout innings. He needed that. I mean, not that mop-up duty is something that you look forward to or that necessarily proves or disproves who you are as a pitcher. But Henry had been struggling, so I was glad that he got the 2 shutout innings there.
Yeah, it shows you he's kind of the last man on the totem pole in the bullpen. He's the guy who's going to be pitching in lopsided games. But if he wants to be used in more situations of consequence, you got to prove you can do the job in these blowout games. And he did a few more pitches than you would have liked from him in that kind of situation. But right now, he'll take anything he can get as a confidence boost. For him, good to see that. Good to see Schultz come in and just kind of pick up right where Griffin left off. And I know it would have been ideal to have Griffin go really far in this game. You still only use 2 relievers. That's a nice thing. You go into Saturday's game and you've got, 6 relievers fully fresh and available to you. And I think they're going to be just fine as they look ahead to the rest of this road trip.
All right, a couple of injury updates on Nats pitchers. We have good news and we have bad news. The good news is that DJ Herz has taken an important step in his recovery from Tommy John surgery on his left elbow. He underwent that surgery April 16th, 2025, is currently on the 60-day injured list, but Herz looking good in his first rehab assignment.
I mean, DJ's been going through this process for so long now.
The bad news is that Jake Irvin still has not started throwing.
He's coming along. It's just taking a little bit slower than we would have liked for it to.
He has been on the 15-day injured list since May 24th with a right shoulder strain. Remember, we were told when he was placed on the 15-day IL that he would begin throwing in 2 days. We are long past 2 days since he was put on the 15-day IL, and he still has not started throwing.
Yeah, he technically is eligible to come off the IL on Monday. Obviously, that's not happening if he hasn't even been able to play catch yet. So it has not progressed the way that they hope. We're not getting a whole lot here on why that is or a level of concern. They're still, making it seem like they're not overly concerned about it, but it's clearly not as minor as they initially believed or wanted to believe. And, you also have to look at what Andrew Alvarez has done in his place and say maybe they don't feel pressure to get Irvin back on the active roster as soon as possible. It maybe provides them a little more opportunity to take their time with him. We'll see. You want to see him playing catcher sometime soon. The longer that drags out, it's not just about that part of it, but then the longer you're shut down, then the longer it takes to build you back up. And now all of a sudden he's going on a rehab assignment and pitching several games in the minor leagues before he's good to go for 5-6 innings in a big league game again. So that to me is probably where we're at right now. You need to see him throwing here relatively soon, or else the rehab now takes a lot longer. With DJ Herz, a great sign. Obviously, that's an important step for anybody coming back from Tommy John. I would also caution, though, they're going to take this thing very slowly with him. You're allowed 30 days on a rehab assignment. He'll probably move up to one of the minor league affiliates, I would guess, soon. But let's also keep in mind in DJ Herz's case, this isn't necessarily somebody who the moment he completes his rehab is going to be activated. He has options, does not have a lot of big league experience, and hasn't pitched in a very long time. I would not be surprised at all if once he is officially deemed healthy, that he's then optioned to AAA and let him get into that 5-day routine of pitching in the minor leagues and not feel like you have to force it. They're not in a position where they have to say, hey, you're healthy, you're in the rotation here in the big leagues. They don't need to do that. This is somebody who, as we know, was pretty promising before he got hurt. Some huge strikeout games, but also pretty inconsistent. They want to see him have some success over a period of time before they even consider putting him in the major league rotation again.
You tell us what you think. Hit us up on X at Nats_chat. You can find us on Blue Sky at Nats Chat Podcast. You can email us natschatpodcast@gmail.com. We invite you to check out our website as well, natschatpodcast.com, at which you can purchase a Nats Chat Podcast t-shirt. All Nationals radio highlights on Nats Chat, courtesy of 106.7 The Fan. For Mark Zuckerman, I'm Al Galdi. We thank you for listening. We'll talk to you next time on the Nats Chat Podcast, and we leave you now with this update on the Nats AAA affiliate, the Rochester Red Wings, from the voice of the Red Wings, Josh Whetzel.
Breaking ball hammered towards center field. Thompson's going back. He's on the warning track to the fence. It's gone! Yo-Yo Morales chucks the bat away, and the Red Wings win the ball game on Yo-Yo Morales' 3-run walk-off homer to the right of dead center field.
All right, time for your Rochester Red Wings update. As of right now, the afternoon of Friday, June the 5th, the Red Wings are in first place at 37-22 in the first half of the International League. They've won 23 of their last 28 games, and they're coming off the best calendar month for the Red Wings since 1997, going 20-6 in the month of May. Third baseman, first baseman, Yo-Yo Morales has been fantastic. He had a terrific month of May, hitting .361 with 8 homers, 20 batted in. And overall, he's third in the league in batting at .340, tied for fourth in the league with 13 home runs. He's third in the league in hits, runs, and slugging, second in the league in OPS, when an on-base plus slugging of 1,002 at the moment. Abimelec Ortiz maybe had an even better month of May. He hit .313 with 9 homers and 29 batted in. The first baseman only played 17 games because he missed one series with a cut in his leg. The 29 RBIs in one calendar month, the most in 1 month for a Red Wings player since 2004. Right now with 48 overall runs driven in, Ortiz ranks second in the International League. Brady House has played 12 games since getting optioned from the Nationals. He's hitting .280 with 4 homers and 8 batted in. And infielder Seaver King, the former Nationals first-round pick, has played 13 games for the Red Wings. He's hit .315 with 3 homers and 15 driven in his first 2+ weeks in AAA. He recently had a 42-game on-base streak end between Harrisburg and Rochester. Now he's merely reached base in 47 of the 48 games he's played this season. On the pitching side of things, left-hander Jackson Kent, recently promoted from AA Harrisburg. 2 of his 3 starts have been very good. He is 2-0 with a 5.27 ERA in those 3 starts, 16 strikeouts in 13 2/3 innings. Luis Perales missed a couple of weeks. He was hit on the arm with a line drive again a couple of weeks ago, missed a start or 2. He has now posted a 1-4 record, a 3.05 ERA, however, and opponents are only batting .182 against the former hard-throwing Red Sox farmhand. And relief pitcher Eddie Jean currently leads the International League in both games pitched with 27 and saves. 9 saves for Eddie Jean. He has only allowed 19 hits in 29 1/3 innings so far this year for the Red Wings. I'm Josh Whetzel, and that's your Rochester Red Wings update.
It's on the way home to House. Right-handed batter swings and clocks one deep to left center. Base going back onto the track. He can look up and watch it sail out of here. Brady House homers for his second straight time up. It's his second 2-homer game of the homestand, and it's now 8-2 Syracuse.